Hello. How is everybody today? I guess I started on the coding screen. We'll flip real quick and talk for a minute. Hope you're all doing well. It's another Sunday. Had a nice break last week. Saw an old friend, which was super nice. When a friend comes to town, you get to spend time with them. Yeah, so we're gonna look at we're going to look at fixing some bugs, clearly. The compiler pointed out some things I realized that we didn't resolve last time, so we're going to have to fix those. And then we're going to figure out a strategy for merging across levels. We've got to take some inspiration from the Erlang code, again, and how it computes what work to do, how much work to do when merging incrementally. I think we got a really good implementation so far of merging a single level. But there are intricacies in deciding how much work to do per merge. And also, what happens when you finish a merge and you need to hand off a file to the next level? There's all sorts of things that we need to think about there. Additionally, if I recall correctly, in the Erlang code, it's related to how much work to do. We saw that it scales up as you get to deeper and deeper levels of the tree, but also any leftover work from a lower level can get passed on to be done by a deeper level, a larger level. So we need to think about that. Right now, our merge just works until it runs out, and when it runs out, it doesn't do anymore, and it just goes, okay, I'm done. So I think we need to figure that out. There's going to be some bits passed between different layers of our code that we didn't handle last time. So. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into it, and we'll look at some of the compilation errors. This one I think is pretty straightforward. It's not obvious what the blue line there is. Hi, Chris. Glad you could join. It's I think it's that this returns option, and our question mark here is returning result. So we need to do .ok there, and that should solve that little problem. We have one other one, and this is related to some of those borrowing issues that we were experiencing last time. So I think we need to deal with this. So let's go over and handle this problem. The issue here is that in constructing self, we have moved tree, because this is an owned tree iterator. We've moved tree into the struct, but then we go and we borrow from it. So I was thinking we might try this first. Let's say let our root iter is this, and then we put root iter in there. But I think that that's still going to be a problem. There's a warning. Okay, that's never used. Okay, so let's look at our diagnostics and see if there's anything reasonable there we need to fix. Okay, so that's a warning here. Okay, so that's dead code. We don't need to warn about dead code yet. I think I may go ahead and I might want to leave it just in case. Dead code is in this case it's not as useful because we have a main rather than a lib. We'll eventually want to switch this to a lib, but we're using that main to test out the library. So maybe we don't maybe we can turn that off when we go to lib. Or what I mean to say is when we get rid of the main program, we can maybe we can move it to an example, and then we can make this a lib, and those dead code things should go away because we will have implemented the whole thing. Okay, so this is really just about not used. I'm not concerned about this. Levels never constructed. We'll get to that. Again, this is not used. Okay. A and B are never read. Yeah, this is really just that there's no top level thing that calls a merge. So, so obviously those things are not going to be count as used. Excuse me. Right. It's thinking it doesn't have. Yeah, I mean, these are just dead code, and these are warnings. These are not errors. So our code should compile still. And let's just cargo build it, and yeah, errors. This Z view is definitely one of my favorite features of it. Absolutely, man. Sometimes there's some UX issues with it, and it may just be that I've been running on preview since like last year because I needed the collaboration features which weren't on main yet, which weren't unstable. But like in some views, for example, the search, you don't get this call out arrow here that lets you jump directly to that line. So like if I search for merge, yeah, so what it'll do here is it'll be like expand up, but it doesn't necessarily jump. And sometimes that it doesn't even appear. So I think they need to work on that consistency. Because like I would expect, hey, why don't you just jump to this spot where this thing is mentioned in that search view? But yeah, I love this. I use it all the time. Okay, cool. So we can ignore the errors, I think, for now. Let's review some of the stuff we did last time. So again, we fixed the merger, and what it did is it took both trees and creates, you know, owned tree iterators from that with peak. Again, this is that type signature. And then, yeah, and it creates an output file. And then if you call incremental merge with some work, it returns a result of option self. So this consumes it potentially that if you run out of things to merge, the natural thing is to close that merger. So it might as well close the file when it's here and consume this merger. So there's no reason to keep this thing around. That does mean that when we actually call incremental merge, we're gonna have to hold on and see like, hey, did this return a new, like the same merger, honestly, but did it return the merger? If not, then we will set it to none in the parent. So the level, notice is option merger. So probably what we can do is go when we call merge with on this level, we can go like self.merger equals self.merger.map, and then call incremental merge on it. Might need a flatten or something. Anyway, right. So here we have this maybe create merger, and we had to move this out of the constructor. One, so that we could create it again if we need it, but also so that there were some like lifetime issues that we had to resolve there. Okay. So where do we get started? Okay, so we have this idea of a level. we never construct it, so we haven't constructed it yet. So we have the opportunity to change some things about this if we don't like them. One that's jumping out to me is that maybe level shouldn't be a usize. I think the reason I was wanting that was a possibility that the database struct, so to speak, would have a like a vec of levels, and you could look a level up by just looking at its usize. Maybe so we could. I'm a bit loath to jump to that yet. We're gonna need it though, right? Um, and this path, right? There's some questions here too about do we proactively create these levels, or do we um, lazily create them? I think there needs to be a step where we kind of um, scan the file names in the directory that we're opening, and find what levels exist. Now we could potentially just say let's find the highest level, and we've configured the min level, which is like 10, I think, for most cases, and then we just create levels up until we've got all of them that have matching files. Even if they don't have all all of three, or maybe there's a level with nothing in it, which we saw. I think you look in here. Yeah, we go from 10 to 12, right? There's no 11 in this data set, but we would want that level to exist even though there's no files in it, right? I think that's a pretty reasonable thing to do. We are going to have some, as we did with the iterators, I'm suspecting we're going to run into some ownership issues. So let's damn the torpedoes, full speed ahead. Let's make a DB struct. Okay, so maybe we even call it HanoiDB. That would be fun. Okay, so we have, let me split this to the right so we can see it. We're going to need a path which it initializes from. So there's going to be a path buff in there. We're going to have a nursery, right? Which is, it's interesting. The nursery doesn't have that much different from the levels, except the levels never accept a write directly. They're always merged into. So we're going to need a nursery. And let's go ahead and add this mod DB. Okay, so, and it's going to be all like, what is this? Okay, use standard path buff. Okay, we're going to need that. And we might need path, because we're going to use that as ref trick like we did everywhere else. Okay, so we're going to need a nursery, and then we're going to need levels. And this is where I think we maybe made some mistakes early. We're going to need min level. Let's just say it's a usize, and max level usize. Right, so like this. Interesting, we have it U32 here. Again, this comes down to and also this total size is a U size, not a U64, even though like if you checked the file size of something, it's a U64. Maybe let's say this is U32, which means to me that we should probably change this to a U32. For consistency. Which means we need to change the merger to take a U32. Okay. So at least we'll be consistent across there. There's no particular rationale for this, I think, other than that's what the Erlang code uses. So I don't have strong opinions about that. Okay, so this is going to be a vec of level, and we're going to use that. And we need to use create nursery, and we're going to use create errors, everything, right? Because first thing we're going to do is, yeah, we're never constructed, fine, I don't care. So we're going to make an impl for this, and this is going to be pubfun new, and it's going to take a path, which is going to be impl as ref path, and it's going to take a min level U32 and a max level U32. Again, it's not, the differences between what we need to do for Rust here and what we need to do for Erlang are starting to come forward. This is going to return result self. Let me just make that absolutely clear. Okay. Because it felt like the nursery in the Erlang code is going to directly send a message to that next level when it's got a completed nursery.data file, and that level needs to accept that file. So I think that there's a bit here where we left out this inject nursery data into the first level. That's the only reason the nursery needs to know what these min and max level are. Right, and there's the other thing here is also, it invokes incremental merge. But probably what we want instead is for this, this add, instead of returning a result of a unit, it might need to return result of some kind of like command. And the reason why I'm thinking this is that we will probably want to change, it's not in here, we'll probably want to change how levels merging works such that it returns something like, I did this much work and the next level needs to do minimum this much work. So yeah, so I think that we're going to need to figure that out. Let's get started by, we can maybe remove the min and max level from this in a bit, but let's get started by constructing this. Let's just assume for now it's going to work. And I'm going to say let path is path.asref to owned, or to path buff. And is that infallible? Yes. Okay. So at least we have the path. Hello. And we're going to fill struct fields. Okay, so min and max level are filled in. And let's create the nursery. Too helpful. And we're going to borrow path, min level, max level, and that returns a result as well. Okay, so now we've got the nursery there. You might say like this is open. I don't know yet. And its levels is going to be to do. Yeah, never used. Yeah. Okay, so then we need to scan. And I think that probably what we can do is start at min level. And scan to max level. Oh, also our recovery for nursery might produce a nursery.data file that we need to inject. So there's in addition to that, there's probably some stuff we need to do here. Okay, so we need to create the levels. And I think that let's just look at what oh, you're gonna make me do this. I'm sorry, folks. Okay, that didn't take long. Okay, so let's look at Rust. Okay, so we can do this iterator. Iterator over directory entries. Yeah, so I think that we want to use this readdir. What I'm trying to get at here is I want to go ahead and create levels for every level that exists in the data directory, including ones that are gaps. So there's not really maybe there's not an expense to creating all of them, but we can just do min level dot max level or dot equal max level and call new on each of them. We're not talking about a lot of data here for this level struct. It's really not a lot. So why don't we start with that, and maybe what we can do at a later time is create them more lazily. I would feel much more confident that we have something correct if we have levels for everything, even if they don't exist. Like even if there's no data in them, like A, B, and C are empty and merger is empty and it's just the level in the path buff, that would be okay. So yeah, let's do for level in min level dot equal max level. We're gonna do min level. We're gonna map Okay, so this is level, and we're going to say this is let levels. Okay, so we're going to map over that, and we're going to say level new path and level. And those are going to return results. So like, let me close that. If we look at this, this is, I need to do collect on it. It doesn't know what it is. Yep. So I'm going to say collect result vec level. And we're going to have to do question mark there, right? So this should be a vec of level. Now, what's the issue down here? I did the turbofish. I'm missing a bracket. Okay. So now I can just throw that into there. That's maybe a bit messy in the sense that we're creating levels even if they don't have any files on disk. But I think I'm okay with that. Again, the size of this struct is not big. Okay, so now we have our root struct. Again, as always, if you have questions, if I look like I'm wandering off in my thoughts and you're not sure what's going on, throw them in the chat. I'm happy to answer. Okay, so now we have the min level and the max level here. I think what we need to do is remove them from the nursery because it's not going to be responsible. Like issues with ownership. Thank you, Chris. I appreciate that. Issues with ownership and like who can talk to whom. Like if you have a mutable reference to this HanoiDB, you need to make sure that you're not expecting something that exists inside it to have a mutable reference back to it. Like circular references are not good. So what I'm thinking is that we need to do some things with nursery. So let's start there. And we're going to remove this min level and max level here. It's not needed for this. And it just serves to... The only possible... I think we had a constant somewhere, which is like how many entries, and it was based on the min level, but maybe we didn't do that. Right, because this is like do incremental merge, right? And we only did recovery. We didn't go like write the log, although this will have some overlap, right? We didn't do a close the log, write it to a data file, and then indicate it should merge. We didn't do any of that. So we might need to configure the nursery with like max entries rather than like min level and max level, because that would be essentially the same. Yeah, 10, 25, fine. 15, 16 levels there. Right. So now we're not passing this. But I think we need to be able to tell. We need to tell it how many steps it can take before it needs to write its data file out. Yeah. Okay. So let's have a quick look over at the Erlang code. And right, there's the reading the nursery from log. If you're adding something to the nursery, there was an issue of, yeah, so we go to do incremental merge. Oh boy, where is it? Do incremental merge. Right, so if the number of steps you took plus the existing number of things in the nursery is greater than the merge step, then you trigger merges and you reset. And again, this top level is just so it knows how to find the process that owns the first non-nursery level, right? Okay. Okay, so this flush, it might be interesting to know where this is called from. So we're gonna go HanoiDB nursery flush and just look for that. No results. And that's demonitoring. Whatever, we're in finish. Okay. This is the sort of thing I'm thinking of. And it's just, yeah, it's just writing. We've already done this stuff. And this is the bit that we aren't doing. And there's probably some safety thing here where, like, you know, they're mentioning this is blocking. It's going to wait on the result of injecting the file into the next level. Right. Okay. So this is saying, remember this B tree size is the thing that we copied the comment over in here somewhere. Whoa, that's not what I intended to show on stream. Didn't realize I had that open. We have a to do, right? So this is B tree size, right? Min level div 2, okay. So this B tree size is, power level 2 to the min level is the size of that. Okay, so they're saying, each step should be half of this size of the min level. Okay. Okay, so that's finishing a nursery file. Okay. Well, let's go back over here. Yeah, I'm thinking that what we need to do is this function should return something that's like result of a vec of commands, right? So, and those commands might be like promote this file to the next level. They might be they might be trigger a merge of this many steps, and you might be able to return both of them. And then the DB struct, oops, why did I close that? The DB struct would be responsible for executing those commands after you've done an operation. And I think that that's probably a good way to go. So let's we have this so far. Let's go pub create enum command. I can't think of a better word right now. Okay, so we need to promote. One of them is going to be promote, and that's going to be a file name. So this could be returned by a level as it's merging. It's like, hey, I got done with merging all my stuff, and here it is. It's this x-number.data file. Why don't you promote it to the next level? Okay, and so this is going to be promote, and let's make it a struct variant just for sanity. We'll say path is a path buff, and I think it's got to have a level in it. So let's say it's target level. That way, maybe we will still pass min level to nursery. And that will give it, hey, when it'll give it the ability to compute how many keys it should track before it closes, like it writes out a new data file and says promote. We're going to say promote file. And then the other one is there should be merge. And then steps would be a usize. We may have others. I'm not sure yet. Okay. So now let's go ahead and put that min level back, and we'll go back over to the nursery because it needs to know, right? Min level U32. I kind of preemptively did that. I was like, there's no way it needs to know. Okay, and then yeah, min level. Okay, so now what we can do here with add is it can return a vec of create db command as its result. Okay, and then similar. Now this will not be exposed to users of the API. This is only within the same crate. And this write internal can return this. So the incremental merge is going to be not do the work other than potentially, hey, write out, finish the log file, right? It's going to be write, we'll write out the file, the nursery data, and maybe we've hit enough steps that we can trigger a merge. In which case we will return this, hey, merge this many steps back up the chain or out as part of this result. So it's going to be a little awkward at first. Again, I warned you all that this might be something where we have to meander our way through. But interestingly, recover needs to potentially cause a merge, right? Because it created a file. Remember, we have this to do. I think what we need to do here is this needs to be option of command. I think I accidentally did that. Yeah, let's change that to fully qualified. Replace qualified path with use. Yeah, okay, so it should be there. Okay, so this needs to return option of command. So in here, if the file doesn't exist, there's nothing to do, right? So you return none. And then down here, we want to return some we need to potentially, this is slurping things off of disk into an in-memory data structure. I think that we need to return none here, and then what we're going to do here is go we're going to have to do this remove file twice. Kind of sucks. Okay, here we're going to say okay sum. We will remove the file, right? Log file. We're going to say remove sum command merge, no, not merge, promote file. Okay, so the path needs to be this data file. And the target level, we did not pass here in the constructor. So we're going to have to say recover, and we're going to pass min level. Okay. Target level, we'll just call it that. Okay, so now we've got target level. Okay, now the issue is we're going to have to say let recovery is the result of that, and this is going to have to return self option command. Maybe there's a better way to do that, but really we need to make sure that if we recover a level, or if we recover the nursery and it's like, hey, I've got a data file, we need to make sure that we trigger that merge at the startup. That promotion. Okay, so I think that we're going to have to go over here and go let nursery, and we'll say recovery here. We will have to, let's put a to do here, handle the recovery result, recovery command. Okay. There's no reason why we can't do some derives on this, by the way. Derive, debug, clone. That's probably good enough. Okay, so we need to deal with this. That's a to-do. But we could deal with it here. And that might give us an idea of how to handle this command generally. It's just, we only care about the path. And let's go ahead and rename that. We can do something like levels.firstMute. And we just created it, so we know it's there. Unless min level equals max level, and then we've got problems. So when we say accept file is the thing, and then we give it path and question mark. Okay. This is a fake API. We have not built this yet. But our next step could be, let's build that. So now this is like promote. Let's put a comment in here, and we'll just assume that this works. Promote nursery into the first level. Okay. All right, so now let's go over to level, and we'll make a pub crate. Honestly, though, I think that if we don't export these, I can probably remove some of the pub crates that we've created in this. Maybe for now it doesn't matter. I was kind of thinking about like, well, what is our API in the end? And it's really just the stuff, just this struct. And I don't think that we need to expose anything else. So maybe all these pub crates, except for this one because it's in this file, maybe those don't need to be handled in the way that we did. Okay, so here I just did it again. Okay, so we need to make accept file, and this is going to be since that's a path buff, we might as well just consume it. And we'll say a result of that for now. Maybe we want this to return a vec of commands. I'm not sure yet. I don't think so, because the design is such that we should never get into a situation where we have all 3 slots, A, B, and C, populated. And we have to accept a new file. If we get into that situation, we're not doing enough merge work. So I think that this is fine. But we're going to need result, because there's going to be some stuff like renaming the file. Okay, so right, so I think that we probably need to look at each of these fields, A, B, and C, and see if they exist. Oh, and this, I'm sorry, this takes mute self. Okay, if self.a is none, and let's just say let new file name. We'll figure it out. So we need to take the path. That's the root path, right? Okay. Path.join form. Okay. So we can do that. Self.path.join format a data, and we want self.level. Else if self.b is none, and you can see how this is going to happen. Maybe we I'm doing this wrong. Maybe I just need to go equals and then like we can do this. Okay, so we need to also, just for paranoia's sake, self.c.is none. And we'll do this but with C. And then let's have a an unreachable case. Level is full, and we should never have that. That would be bad. Okay, so that's the file it should be renamed to. Let's look at the documentation real quick and find rename, standard FS rename. Okay. So let's do standard FS rename. From path, borrow that. We want to make sure to borrow it because we're going to do this. Oops. Borrow it, please. And that needs a question mark because that can fail. Yep. Okay. And then the last bit is we need to populate the field of this level with that file. So and it feels like we should have done that here. All right, we're gonna copy pasta. I don't care at this point. It's gonna be a bit repetitive. It's gonna be annoying. Let's just say we returned okay here. New file name. Sorry about that, folks. We're gonna do that, and then we're gonna say self.a is we want to do tree from file. Right. Okay. We're going to do some tree from file. New file name. And that needs a question mark on it because that's a result. And we're going to have to copy this stuff for this and do with B, self.b. I kind of wish that there were a better way to do this, but a little repetition here is not the worst thing in the world. Okay. And self.b, this needs to be self.c. Okay, so there's a possibility here that, tree from file fails, in which case, this whole thing is going to fail. That's fine. We're bubbling that up. So now we basically have handled promote. I might want to rename this. Maybe we say promote file. I'm not sure. Okay, so I have an error there. Let's make that mute. Oops. Okay. Now I want to make some internal functions. So note that we've handled promote in terms of the next level needs to accept the file, but what if we've got, a level just did some merge work, and it closed a file, right? So it like wrote its X file, which is the thing that it merges into, and it's like, I'm done with this. You need to hand it off to the next level, and it knows what level it is. It's just going to increment by 1. And then and that's going to go into this target level field that we put on this command, right? So I think that we need to be able to take this and go, give me a level, and this will be a private function of HanoiDB. Give me a level based on this index, right? Yeah, let's do that. Okay, so I'm going to say level mute, and this is going to take mute self, and it's going to return a mute to level. Now this is going to take a level number, U32, right? And I think it's going to be option of mute level. Or we might just make it panic. I'm not sure. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to look at, we need to compute the index, and that's going to be it's going to be level minus self dot min level, right? So if they're equal, it'll be 0. If we might want to put an assertion in here that we're never calling this with something smaller than min level. Assert. Let's just do assert. This is going to be level is greater than or equal to self.min level. This is more for like, checking our own paranoia there. Okay, we can put this, let's say invalid level number. The other thing that we could do is I was going to say the range. Maybe we could do range includes. contains level. Okay, that's a bit more explicit, I think. So now we know that it's never above the max level and it's never below the min level. Okay, so now we can get this index and we can go self.levels get mute index. That's it. Does that not? Oh, this needs to be as usize. Okay. That was pretty straightforward. But that's going to be essential when we go to handle this promote file command. And maybe we just have something that's like promote file. And it does level mute in there. Yeah, that's starting to feel good. Like the main thing that I was puzzling over since our last session was, were we going to need something like this? And I think this is a good decision to have, because we're not sending messages between processes here. We're working with in-memory data structures. There's like one tree of ownership, and it needs to pass through here. There's no like free range sending messages to other things. So the other thing too is that if this is in a loop where we have something that's like handle commands, maybe we can stub that out. Commands, mute self, and this is commands is a vec of command. Maybe we do something like just loop over those. The thing is they can produce like this can be recursive in the sense that if you handle one, like if you handle merge and you're telling one level to merge, you might end up in a situation where this needs to push additional ones on the end. So yeah, let's just put a to-do in here for now, and we will come back to handle that. Okay. What else were we missing? Here. With the nursery. Oh, right. What's going on here? Oh, right. So we need to do, this needs to return a tuple. Okay, then that solves that. What else we got wrong? Yeah, okay, let's go there. Nursery, we don't care about the top level. Okay, what else is wrong? Right, so here we need to handle this bit, this right internal. So for now, let's return an empty vec. I think that we will come back to that. Let's solve any other issue here. Oh, use moved value. I think writer new, yeah, that takes asref, so we can borrow that, and then it can be owned here. Again, there's some bits of duplication here that I'm not so happy with, but maybe we can extract that out. Let's go let command is this, and let me put down here OK command. So this could be, and we can pull this remove file out. Then we don't have that issue of potentially this code being in two places. Okay, and we did not mess up the compiler there too. Okay, so in this case, it's like, if the data is not empty, so if you read from the log file in the recovery, then we completed the file, and so we want to return, hey, promote this file to the target level. And then we can remove the log file. So regardless if any data was recovered, if nothing was recovered, we remove it. If there was something recovered, we remove it. So pulling that out was good. Okay, and command is option command, right? Okay, that feels pretty good. Let's rename this to promote file. Okay. This is also, Chris, this is also an excellent feature. When you go to rename a symbol and it has references across multiple files, it'll show you all the files where it's referenced, which is super nice. Doesn't always work in other languages, but it really works in Rust. It's super good. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was thinking about this, like self.a, self.b, self.z. I think in the Erlang code, it makes a tuple of the values of each of the fields and like uses the index into the record to set the result. But we don't have that in Rust. That kind of like arbitrary indexing across a struct. That doesn't happen. So we've got to do it this, unfortunate way. Now we could create an enum that's like, which field do I fill? And that gets returned from this, and I just can't be bothered right now. That's not that important. It does look like a mess, and I'm sorry for that. What are you going to do? Okay. So I'm a little bit nervous here, but I think we need to handle this this stuff. Sometimes it just doesn't matter. Yeah. In this case, it's like, it's fine that that's a little messy. We're just trying to get it to work. And we can come back later and make it look nice. There are certain things in here that we have code smells, but it just doesn't matter at this point. Okay. So here I'm going to have to refresh my memory of the logic of how much to merge. Because what we're going to do here is we're going to say, we're going to make a new vec of commands, and let's return that here. That'll be our first step. So I think that we were, okay, so we were keeping nursery data. Interestingly, are we not putting entries into that? When we do a write, we are not adding it to, oh no, we are, okay. So we could say, I feel like we kind of want to take this logic and put it in its own function that takes a oh, interesting. Okay. We're going to need to have a way to turn this nursery data type alias. It's just, key and then value, which is this enum here. We're going to need to be able to turn that into entries, because the recovery logic uses entries. If we want to reuse this, we might not need to. We might need to just say, I don't know, flush log or something is the... It's going to have some overlap with this recovery, though, because we kind of put that all together. Okay. Let's look at this B-tree size thing. Oops. B-tree size. Can I type? And that'll be a define. Yeah. Okay, so 1 bit shift left level, right? And then this is how many merge steps to do. All right, let's look down here where it's doing the incremental merge in the Erlang code, and then we can hopefully go back. Right, so this is... I don't know why I did div 2 there, not 1 BSL min level -1, but whatever. Okay, so if it does an incremental merge step, it resets the step in the nursery to 0. Okay. Otherwise, it's adding step plus n. Oh, and that n is because there's a transact, which might write multiple entries. Yeah. But we were looking at previously the recovery, which was here. This is done merge. Oh, this is finish. So okay, we need to ignore finish for a minute. Let's look at do add. Right, so let's see here. Ignoring expiration. Okay, so this is encoding the data and putting the value in that in-memory cache, which can be used for reads. Okay, and then it's writing that data to the log file. This do sync is like file sync, file data sync, which we had implemented before. This has room is kind of interesting. We'll want to look at that. I think that's just like is it less than the next level size? Okay, so then it's going to do incremental merge. You know, we added one key. Do one step, or add one step. Okay, so this is giving me better context for do incremental merge, I think. Okay, so if the steps that number of steps we recorded plus the number of keys that we just inserted or updated or deleted are greater than half of the min level size, then trigger merge and reset step to 0. Okay. Let's okay, so we're going to say let min let's say min steps to merge. I'm going to make it verbose as possible so I remember what this is. Okay, so that's going to be self.min level. One bit shift left, self.min level -1. Okay, so this is going to be, that's going to be an I32. That's interesting. Min level is a U32. Okay, so our step is a U size. I think we need to change that. It is interesting to me that this bit shift left returns an I32. Wild. Okay. So let's change this to an I32. I think that's reasonable given that that's a U32. Okay. So if we're gonna remove this for now. If self.step plus 1 is greater than or equal to min steps to merge, then we're going to say commands push no, that's wrong. Give me a second. No, okay, so that's right. Yeah, okay. And then it's going to be push, it's going to push command merge self.step plus 1. Right, so that'll say we're going to do an incremental merge. And then we'll say self.step is 0. Else is basically this branch. We're not going to trigger merge. We're going to just add 1. Okay, so that'll handle the incremental merge. So this is trigger incremental merge. Now we could. Why do you think it's not used? Okay. Here, you're going to be an I32. I guess the issue is why it returns I32 is that if you shift it 32 bits, you might go into negative numbers. I don't know. Because of 2's complement, etc. It is really weird that that is the result, but okay. Okay, what do we got here? Unused parentheses, fine. Okay. So now, right, so this is basically handled. But we need to check the size of the in-memory data and potentially finish that and promote it, right? So we might want to excuse me. I think what we want is let min level size is going to be this. Be 1 self.min level. And then this is going to be min level size div 2. Because what we want to do here is go if self.data.len is greater than or equal to min level size as u size, then we want to close. We want to write out everything to a data file. Flush this. Yeah. Okay. So so I was going to say we need to do this, right? But probably what we want to do is basically do this work, but it's not going to be exactly the same. So we might have a little duplication at first. That's okay. Okay, so we need to figure out how to write out. We need to flush the nursery file. So we're going to. I think the answer is let's go from data and like have a consuming or like a draining iterator. So let's look at B-tree map. There should be a drain iterator like there is for vec, I would guess. Is there drain? Drain? No. Is there no drain? Oh my goodness. Okay. Then what we're going to do is we will let's open a writer. So we need to construct a file name, and then we need to construct a writer. I wish there were drain. That would be nice. Okay. So let's say file name is self.directory join nursery.data. Okay. And then we're going to say let mute writer is writer new borrow file name and question mark. Okay, so now we've got to go key and value in self.data. So then we'll say we need to turn this value into an entry. So let entry, we're gonna have to match value. So if it's plain, then we want to return entry key value, which is going to be key, and value is value. Timestamp none, so we don't care. If it's deleted, then we want an entry deleted, and key and timestamp is none. We can handle, expiration is a feature there in HanoiDB. We're not going to bother with it right now. But that should transform it into an entry that we can insert, and then we go writer add entry question mark, right? Okay, key. Yeah, and this is a case where I want to use into iter, but the problem is data is owned here and we can't move it. So let's say, let's just leave that and see what it says, and maybe we can use the auto convert if it'll fix it for me. This is why I wish there was a draining iterator on btreemap. If there is one, please please drop it in the comments on the thing, because I would rather use that. Like clear is what we would do after we've done it. Now there's retain. No, that's not what we want. I don't want to clone the thing. Boy, it'd be nice if there were drain. Because like drain is a thing on vec. Yeah. The desired behavior, Chris, would be to give me owned values out of the btreemap while iterating through it. Extract if. Okay. Yeah, it's nightly. I don't think I'm going to do nightly right now. It's okay. Now I could do something like while let sum pop first. Maybe that's the better way to do it. Let's try that. While let sum self.data.pop first. And then it's owned. Yay! Okay, that's not too bad. Is very useful though, and it is almost stable. Yeah, so this extract if creates an iterator that visits all elements in ascending keyword and uses a closure to determine if the element should be removed. Closure returns true, the element is removed from the map and yielded. Okay, like I would just return true as the predicate. But I would want to be able to do stuff in the middle there, so yeah, that looks pretty useful. If you wanted to split a btreemap into like and pull out particular things. Okay, so this removes it from the map and it becomes an element of this iterator. An item. Okay, cool. Now, the other thing I could do if I wanted to do the consuming thing, Maybe the other thing that might not be great about this self data pop first is that it's going to restructure this data structure when all I want to do is consume it. Um, it feels like I would want to just like take the B tree map out and use into iterator on it while replacing it with an empty one. I guess this is okay. Maybe we'll put it to do in here. Can we make this more ergonomic? I would be interested to know why there's no drain. Yeah. Ah, I have a great idea. There is like something in standard mem, like swap or take. Yes, this is what we want. You replace pass value instead of the, yeah. This is what we want. Haha. Okay, so we're gonna do a little stuff here. We're gonna do standard mem take self. Now this only works on things that implement default, right? And so that's going to replace it with the default, and we're going to be given back this. So fresh, so clean. Okay, for key value in data.intuiter. Okay. I knew there was something like that. I need to get more familiar with standard mem because that is really good, right? What did we do there? Just to refresh, we replaced this self.data field with the default value of the same type. And because btree map implements default, if its keys and its values just implements default as empty, right? Then we can swap that out. Standard, yes. We can swap that out with the default. So it'll replace whatever this points to with the default value and return you the original thing. That's exactly what I wanted to do. And then we can consume this, and I don't have to worry about this being more ergonomic. We are just like, get rid of that. We're going to take it, and yeah. Okay, so we're not quite done here. We have written out the file. We need to close it, and then we need to push this promote file onto our list of commands. Cool. Okay, so we're going to say writer.close, and then we are going to commands push, command promote. The path is going to be file name, and the target level is self.min level. Okay. So now, this is a bit messy. It's a lot to do in one function. But I think that we are, what we're doing here is we're making sure that if this is full, if the nursery is full, we write out all the data. Now we missed one step here, which is we need to close and delete the log file. So we're going to have to replace the log file. So this is file. Let's see if we can truncate that, because if we recovered the log, like if we don't, when we wrote out this file, if we don't delete the log file, next time it boots up, it's going to recreate that data again. So if we successfully wrote this nursery data file, we need to clean up the log file and reinitialize it. Yeah, so we need to remove the log file. Let's see if there's something on the file struct that we can do with that. And maybe we don't need to remove it. Maybe we just need to truncate it. Okay, so you can. That's nightly. Boo. Are these all nightly on this file ext struct? Oh, that's WASI ext, excuse me. This is Windows only. This is Unix only. Okay. Yeah, WASI. Seek, right. I think there is. We did this already. Yeah, metadata. Can you get the file name back from that metadata? File attributes, Windows only. This is Linux only. This is WASI only. Boo. Okay. So we're going to have to reconstruct the file name. It's fine. Since we basically coalesced that, we need to see close and remove the log file, reopen it. We might want to have a function that actually does the open the log file. So I think we were doing it up here. Yeah, it's this. Now, the other thing that we could do potentially is going from the directory, we get the file name of the log file, nursery.log. Maybe we may use open options to our advantage. And we use truncate. The only issue here is, in my mind, is can we force the file to be closed without drop? Maybe we explicitly drop it. That feels kind of weird. The other issue then is also we have this as part of nursery. Maybe we need our friend standard mem again. Yeah, I mean, there's drop. Like we don't want forget because we do want to close the file. I don't know that there's any safety concerns. Maybe we can use replace. I don't know if there's any safety concerns with the old file handle, right? All right. So let's say log file is we're going to do open options, new. Where it is write, true, truncate, true. And then we're going to say open, and that's going to be directory dot join nursery dot log. It feels a little dumb to be doing this multiple times, but then we'll do standard, and we'll just drop the old file. Replace. Destination is self.file. File. Mute self.file. Log. Let's rename that log. So we're not going to close and remove the log file. We're going to truncate the log file and replace the existing handle. I don't know. I mean, we could do, like, instead of this, we could just do self.log equals log, and that's probably the same thing as replace because we don't need the old value and it'll just get dropped automatically. Let's inline that. Okay, I want to make sure that this open options truncate thing is going to work. Make sure there's nothing else here that we want. Yeah, the only thing that's kind of potentially tricky about this is if truncate semantics are significantly different than like create new with append. In terms of how it handles it, I feel fairly confident in this. The Erlang code closes the file and then deletes it. So right, so that's destroying. Maybe we need to implement drop. Implement drop for the nursery, I mean. But like you see here, when it's, so finish this nursery, encode it to B tree and delete the nursery file. So this is write it to nursery data. This is basically what we were doing. Inject it in a top level, and then like issue a merge if needed. So this done merge, okay. and then delete the log file. The thing that I'm not sure if this, like, the equivalent would be consuming the nursery. There's destroying it, right? Which is close the log file and delete the log file. Let's see where destroy is called from. Okay, so that would be like destroy the directory. Okay, so if it gets this, it'll destroy the nursery and destroy the top level. Okay. Yeah, that's like delete the whole thing. Right, and this is just like kill these files if they exist. We'll need to implement that at some point, but we don't need to do it right now because we don't have any of these API functions except for open. And maybe I should rename that new to open. Okay. Yeah. All right. I feel pretty good about this. Let's see what bugaboos we have, if anything. It's just dead code. You're not creating anything. We're running up to time. Oh, right. So let's go back to this file. What I want to do is, rather than this, I want to do okay, we're going to create it there. We're going to return it there. And I want to move this down. And I want to say db handle command. We'll just make this be command. And this is going to be this is going to be done. For command in commands. We want to consume it. Self.handle command question mark, and we'll say okay. All right, okay, so this is just going to be able to handle vec versus, maybe we don't need that, I don't know, but let's implement the singular version because we know if it was recovered, then we want to be able to deal with that. Command is a command, and that's going to be a result of this. Okay. Okay, so we have promote file and we have merge. Merge, we're just going to have to do on. We don't know what to do with that yet. But promote file is actually pretty straightforward. So we'll say self.level mute. Target level. I think it's probably okay to do unwrap here. Because if we generated a command that is not a valid level, well, that's the only case. Like unwrap is okay here because we've already asserted that this should be in a level that we already have. And we're going to say promote file, and it's going to take path. And that returns a result as well. So we'll just do, oh, we can just return that. That's not bad at all. And we'll just ignore that for now. We're going to have to pass that along. Okay, the other thing here is that these might not return result of this. Again, this says vec of command. This is probably like, hey, we added something. Maybe we won't want this to be a vecdec, and we are, if we get anything back from this, then we need to add those commands to this list so that we like run this to exhaustion, right? That can be a thing that we do next time. Again, I don't like, it's kind of bad that we didn't get to merge across levels, but I think we've kind of set ourselves up to be able to do that later. And just for giggles, I'm going to rename this to open. And let's say open with min and max levels. And then let's have a simpler one, which is open result self, and we'll put in some defaults there. So that's going to be like self open with min and max levels, and we will do min levels 10 and max levels 25. Like, I think that's what the Erlang code did. And then this doesn't need to be mute there because we're putting it inside here. This is feeling pretty good. I don't know how about y'all feel about it, but like, I'm starting to see where we can go next. We have the ability to inject a file into a larger, a deeper level. We just need to handle this thing, and I think that this is probably like, I think we have a few minutes. Maybe we just stub out the function that does this. There is a problem with this, which is, let's say we get a command back. This needs to have a target level in it as well. So let's put that in there, and then yeah, because I think that what we're going to need to do here is, where's that merge thing that we generated? Right, so target level is going to be self.min level. So that's like, send this many merge steps to the next level, right? Oh yeah, yeah. Thank you, Chris. Yeah, we did. I'm trying to remember what we did last week, but we resolved a lot of stuff about the structure. Right, and now it's like, you don't care about the missing field. Okay, so let's real quick, let's go into level, and then we'll stub out, again, I'm using pub crate when maybe I don't have to. So this is do incremental merge. And this is going to take a mute self, and steps is going to be an I32, because I think that's what we put in the command. Yes, I32. Okay, And this should return, for now, a result of this, but it's probably going to actually be a result of a vec of commands. Because similar to the nursery, let's just say, let's call it merge. Similar to the nursery, it may return, hey, I've closed this file and there's more steps to pass along, right? So it might do something like if the merger, let's see, to do implement all of this. This will be for next time, and I'm going to put to do macro in here. So situation A, if the merger closes, add promote file to the commands. The other situation is if there's still more merge work to be done, trigger the next level, which is basically how the merging works in the Erlang side as well. It's just done with it's done with messages instead of this like central coordinator thing. Okay, so we can implement this next time, and yeah, I think this is a good place to stop. Let's make a commit. We're gonna look at this real quick. We did a lot today. Nice. Whew, a lot of code. Okay. This is session 10. And we were outline of incremental merge. And I'm going to pull out lazy git so that we can get a richer message without me having to mess with things. Okay, so session 10, beginnings of incremental merge. So we cleaned up some compilation errors. And we created the HanoiDB struct containing the config and the nurseries and the levels, nursery and levels. Okay, and then we return commands from individual writes that indicate whether to promote a file to the next level or to trigger an incremental merge. And then implement finishing the nursery. Finishing is not the right word, but promoting nursery data to the next level, to the top level, I think is what it was called in the Erlang code. And then we stub out handling incremental merge. Okay, so we'll have some things to do next time, which will be pretty interesting, but probably not as much work as this time. Like, I think if we can get an idea of how to finish the incremental merge, which again we didn't address the how much work do I actually have to do thing, which grows as you get down the levels. If so I think that we need to handle that. We need to look at that computation again that we talked through in one of the previous sessions, and implement that, and then we can start thinking about making the public API. So I think that's a really interesting spot to be in. And we'll definitely want to at some point come back and revisit the whole Bloom filter thing. Um, and maybe that can be part of the public API, because we'll need to add methods down the stack. For example, looking up a key in the database is an iteration across the layers until you find either a value or a tombstone. I'm sorry, the levels starting with the nursery. So that's going to be interesting. There may be a case there where we can make a trait that is like, this is a mini database, and you implement this trait for level and nursery. Maybe it's too much, but yeah. So we could probably we'll probably need to make something like that, and also make the ability to write things into the database, so that it can trigger these merges and see them happen. And maybe that's probably too much for one session. That's probably 2 sessions going forward. And then I'm going to make this commit. And then we'll have the opportunity to start visualizing this thing under load, and maybe benchmarking it. That would be pretty cool. So we have a long way to go. But I suspect in about 3, maybe 4 more sessions, this will be in a really good spot. And we can start thinking about polish. We can start thinking about, cleaning up some things that weren't the best the first time around. And, adding features if they're like, we aren't handling timestamps, but that's part of the original file format, so that you can expire things. So maybe we would go do a session that's like, let's implement expiring, expiration in the database. That would be pretty interesting. Anyway, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time.